Everybody ready?
Yep. Let's go.
Lothra, Lothcat, Lothwolf, run. Pick a path, and all is done.
For Midwest Guys presents Star Wars Rebels HQ.
Continue to allow this war to be fought on the Empire's terms. You are going to lose.
All paths are coming together now.
As long as we're together, we've got a chance.
At least we'll go down fighting. It's time to get to work.
Your TIE defender is at risk. Krennic has been quite persuasive about his own project, Stardust.
Ezra, it's not whether or not we fight.
It's how we choose to fight that matters. I know, Kanan.
We were meant to be Jedi so we could be here now when Lothal needs us most.
All the paths are coming together, right?
I'm just not sure if we're going to like where they lead.
But we never imagined it would end like this.
Everybody ready?
Hello, everybody, and welcome to For Midwest Guys presents Star Wars Rebels HQ, your one-stop shop for everything Star Wars Rebels. And here with me today is Mr. Brian Eckenbauer.
Hey, what's up,
And my brother Aaron.
Yeah.
And guys, today we'll be reviewing Season 4, Episodes 12 and 13, Wolves and a Door, and A World Between Worlds. Really great episodes here. We're in the last of the last episodes now. There's literally, after these episodes, one more episode, a half-hour episode, and then an hour episode. So really just 90 minutes left of Rebels. Once
Yeah,
we're done with these.
one more night.
One more night, man. So, but they are going out on a very high note. I'll obviously give my grades at the end, but I was extremely pleased with not just the Wolves and a Door, but especially with A World Between Worlds.
Oh yeah, both of them were fantastic.
Absolutely fantastic. So there is a lot to get into, so let's just dive right into it. So let's start with Wolves and a Door, and I will queue up our graphics, because we have graphics today. Yay. And this should have worked earlier, but it didn't. So here's our first graphic, and it starts off with what I just like. The Rebels are just kind of discussing their plan here. So this is Ezra.
Like looking over the tablet.
Yeah. Good way to start off the episode. They were actually start off with a wolf and a loaf-cat kind of thing, but I kind of skipped over that. Did nothing really big.
No, it's just kind of setting the environment. It's kind of background.
Right.
Don't get me wrong, the loaf cats are cute, but it doesn't really add to the main plot line.
It didn't to me. I didn't see any significance in it, so I
Right, I did bring up. I was like, so if the white wolves are supposedly not there according to Filoni, how is it that the loaf cat climbs up onto the white wolf?
Well,
also Ezra climbs off into the white wolf.
I think it means they're just not real wolves. That like the black ones are
wolves.
Yes.
So they're spirit wolves.
Spirit wolves.
Okay.
If you're a white wolf, you're a spirit wolf. If you're a white lothcat, you're a spirit.
Well, yeah, I mean,
lothcat.
but like in these couple episodes, they almost go out of their way to confirm the fact that they're like something akin to spirit wolves, right?
Exactly. That they're spirit guides. Even that's even mentioned in the next episode. So when we get to that. So not a whole lot here. They just kind of go over the plan again, and it shows that they need to go save the temple before the Empire gets there.
Yeah, it's a very quick kind of catch up on what they're doing, sort of thing.
It kind of really picks right up with where the last one left off. So
yeah.
So move on to the next graphic here, and this is what I like to call the summoning of the wolves, which was kind of cool. And you kind of see Ezra just kind of reach out with the Force, and suddenly the wolves show up. It's kind of
his wolf Uber.
He now has a wolf call through the Force, if it were. His wolf Uber. Yeah, that's a good one, Brian. I like this entire scene. I know, Brian, you didn't really care for the music, the tribal music.
The music was so bad.
Really, actually kind of like the music. Like, I actually think it's kind of the highlight to the.
It was so bad. It was so bad. Like I didn't mind the calling the wolves. I didn't mind the going through the thing and submarining down into the earth.
Through the portal
into Lothal.
Right.
I didn't mind any of that, but the music just.
At first I was with you, but it's been growing on me. I've watched it 6 times now. And every time I'm like, oh, okay, it kind of goes along. It's like a tribal Indiana Jones kind of feel, kind of thing. Actually, this whole episode is Indiana Jones.
Yes, it was. Very much Indiana Jones.
But yeah, I liked it. It's growing.
Indiana Jones and the Lothal Temple.
I think the music actually kind of fits with the whole riding scene, and it kind of gives it kind of, Lothal sort of element to it, and that, it's kind of going with the actual animal and the planet sort of thing.
Right,
so.
it did, but there was no Star Wars aspect to that.
No.
You could have taken that sound and put it anywhere in any other movie and gotten the same kind of, what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, when I watch Star Wars, I want to feel Star Wars-esque, even if it was just something...
With a little Force music.
Yeah, just a little Force music in the background probably would have been better, but straight tribal music, I was
kind
like...
of almost classical.
Yeah, even anything like
And then
remotely
just
like that.
tribal stuff
Yes.
in the front.
Even
I feel like
I
that's a
know.
really hard thing to mix together.
like it'd be like if they're in the ocean there, all of a sudden they just start playing the Jaws theme. I was like, yeah.
Start playing the Mariner's Revenge by the Decemberists or something. Just something that's like just 8 minutes. Just let it go.
Just let it go.
Something random.
It's a long run.
Yeah, but it was a cool scene to see them ride the wolves, especially like they had that scene in the horizon. You see them all in line. And you see them riding them. It was kind of wolf riders on the storm kind of look. Yeah.
Wolf Riders on the storm. That would have been better music.
I don't think it would have added to it. Like I think at that point everyone would just had to have had a cowboy hat and lasso.
But yeah, like you said though, Brian, they go down into they disappear into the weeds again or the grain.
If you build it, they will come.
If you ride the wolves.
Well, yeah, but like once you start seeing them kind of take off, like that's pretty much
Oh yeah, I
what's
knew it
going
was
to happen.
coming
Otherwise,
out.
you're just like,
They're gonna
wow, this has gone on for a long time.
Not only that, but that's gonna be a rough ass ride, riding like that all the way from the southern hemisphere to the northern hemisphere to the top of the planet.
You have the one.
I mean, have you really tried to ride a wolf bareback? I mean, come on.
Well, then like the one wolf's carrying Chopper in his mouth is like that can't be comfortable for it.
That was cool though. I like how they incorporate. That was a little bit of humor along with Zeb saying.
Yeah, just being kind of freaked out.
Yeah, he does. He talks with his eyes. Yeah, and then you see like Chopper ride up. And he's like, you can almost make out. Well, that's not fair. What about me?
Yeah, he's like, what about me?
And then all of a sudden he grabs it. Like you can almost make out. Like it's funny how it is funny how much his dialogue has changed from the earlier episodes to now. They're making it much easier. And it's not because we've seen him, but it's you can actually almost make out
the
words when he's doing it.
They just put like the intention or the accent on the womp. It used to be just womp womp womp. Now it's womp 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 womp. You know,
yeah,
they're putting
womp 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 womp.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, what about me? Yeah, I can see that.
I don't know. The funny thing about that is though, like that's the only thing Chopper does in like the couple episodes is like he gets carried by the wolf. And I don't remember where else he is in the episode.
He's also driving the
next.
He drives that dig. The
drill, he does
the drill
to take out.
And he does the little projection thing. Yeah. Okay, I forgot about that.
He has a couple little things, but you're not
right.
a lot.
It's not very Chopper centric.
Yeah,
most of the Force stuff isn't though.
Yeah.
So. Okay, so let's move on to, of course, what would be this is just another shot of them on the wolves, which I thought was kind of cool. So I grabbed that one as well. So here we go. Into the portal, as I like to call it. So they dive down. And what was cool about the portal this time, in every other episode we've seen them go through the portal, do the Force walk. You just kind of, you don't even really see this. This almost looks like hyperspace a little bit.
You know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of watching like WB's Flash, and he sees scenes on the sides.
Yeah,
this almost kind of looks like that.
Very reminiscent of that, Brian. That's a good point. Yeah, but what I liked about this was not only was it hyperspace Force this time, but it was, like you said, you got the scenes on the side. And it was like they were going through the entire series. Like it started off with, you hear Zeb talking to Ezra, like, you know.
Hey, you want to ride?
Or
I don't know who you are.
I don't know who
you don't know me.
And he's like, I don't want to know you. You know, and you see him progress slowly through the series with different things, and it's just kind of like it reminds you on the journey that we've been on, and it's kind of recapping and reminding you that the journey is coming to an end, and
it's a bit of a recap before you actually reach that end point of the series.
And it's really neat too because you get, you see Ahsoka say this is a new day, and I don't know if there's any real significance to it if Filoni's trying to hint at anything like a new series coming up with Ahsoka saying that or not. I don't really think there's much to it other than to just tell you, here's where we've been, and this is where we're going, kind of thing. Yeah. So,
you don't think this is hinting at Ahsoka, the series?
It could. He could. He could be completely foreshadowing something like that. But yeah, I prefer to think of it more as a recap.
Yeah.
For now.
That seems fair.
So, anything else you guys want to say about that? Okay.
No.
All right. So moving on, they get to the temple and. obviously they're surveying the temple where the Empire is, and you can see it's kind of hard to tell, but there's a giant crater actually around the mountain that used to be the temple. And
yeah, they've cut out. They said they've cut out the doors.
Both doors have been cut
and
out,
and you can tell like they're organizing the artifacts as they're pulling them out, like and they're categorizing each pice, which is what they would do on a dig site.
Right, it's almost like an archaeological dig.
Indiana Jones, imagine that.
Imagine that. It's almost. It does remind me a lot of Indiana Jones, especially when they're in Egypt. And they
Temple of the Force.
And they got the staff of Ra, or whatever the heck it is, with the sun.
When they're trying to find the
and they're in the wrong spot and all that.
Yeah, which one is that?
That's not Temple of Doom. No, that's the first one.
Raiders of the
Lost Ark. Yeah. So it has a very Raiders of the Lost Ark kind of.
I mean, even with the spotlights and everything else they have, like you would think we're in space. Why wouldn't they have some kind of space lights? Why do they have actual
floodlights?
Floodlights.
He actually says floodlights too, which is funny. The minister does.
Well, I mean, if you wanted to actually have a spaceship, you'd have to have it more or less staying.
Well, no, not a spaceship. Just space lights, like something like some kind of like
a drone.
I don't know about a drone, or maybe just like fluorescent light bulbs that go around the edge of your whole perimeter. You know what I mean? Something
LED lighting.
Yeah.
Set the mood.
Yeah. Other than just like floodlights that you see at like we have at the airport or wherever to light up an area that we have now. You would think you'd have something more space-esque.
Apparently they're like, oh, it still works.
All right, so moving on, next scene here, and this is they obviously they steal the speeders. Actually, let's talk about that real quick because I should have brought that up. I like how they got the speeders this time. I like how they used an old image recording of Thrawn
to distract the
guards and then take them out. I thought that was a cool use by Chopper.
Yeah. And how they ripped the one stormtrooper's head off and then hit the other one with the head.
You mean take his helmet off and hit him with?
Oh no, he ripped his head off.
Brian believes that Rebels is actually much more bloodier. Because
we definitely don't see we definitely don't see the bodies. So
you think they bury them?
Yeah, because that's what I said. I was like, they're not even showing us that they're tied up or anything on this one.
That our rebels are stone blood cold killers.
Yeah, like I was saying, there's going to be a companion piece that's going to come out, and you're going to see all like the impaling and everything else that happens in Rebels and all
Rebels
the deaths,
uncensored.
Yeah, all the deaths that we actually don't see. But
it's rare to have something like a bloodless revolution.
Yeah,
so.
But I just think it's funny that we never actually see the death scenes, but we see it happen.
I mean, we see them occasionally, but it's never gory. It's always just, oh, this guy's falling into space.
Yeah.
Like that Disney's fine with, but they're not really cool with the whole, oops, his head fell out of the helmet.
Kind of, yeah. But anyway, getting back to this scene, I like how Sabine's automatically starts picking up. She's using her art senses. I still say Sabine is still a little bit force sensitive.
She's force art sensitive.
Force art sensitive, but she's using her
cryptology.
But she's using her knowledge of cryptology. She's using her object of art, and she's like, they're onto something. She's like, there's no writing here, but they're obviously.
But she said it's a writing in
hieroglyphics.
It's not words. It's a different language.
Yeah.
What I thought was really cool about this was the way they use the sound, where you can. They're talking with the mask on, and then you can, as soon as she opens up her mask, then it
becomes clear again.
Yeah, and you can hear the ways they
different tones.
Yeah, I thought it was really, really, because they're like, oh, I guess it would sound like that if somebody had a mask on and they took it off, you would be able to hear them a little bit clearer.
Right, instead of going through their speaker or whatever they talk out of. Yeah, it's just plain speak. I really liked this. I like the scene that comes after this where I didn't get a screenshot of this, but where Ezra uses the Jedi mind trick for the first time effectively. Finally, and it's on not just a regular stormtrooper, but one of the Death Troopers, which are supposed to be the more elite class.
Yeah,
you would think they'd be stronger minded too.
At this point, they just kind of look like mid management, don't they?
Yeah, they kind of do. Yeah, it's kind of like, well, we're not stormtroopers, but we're just a grade above.
Yeah. It's
middle
like
management. Yeah, like I said,
it kind of comes across that way. It's like you're not really a general, but like you're kind of qualified to lead a troop.
Yeah. So you're a sergeant. Congratulations.
Yeah.
And the other thing I have. It's a little later and not actually this scene that we're talking about here. But like, why is it that when they get in trouble, they ask them for their number and the security code? Yeah.
What's your identification and what is your security code? Yeah.
They're on the planet. Yeah. Why are they asking like even when they were talking about it and they said, well, this was classified as a
AT-14,
whatever it was, and it's like.
You should have known the new protocol.
Yeah, like
you might be given different security codes depending on what mission you're on.
Yeah, because the Empire
they're all,
is all about
but they're all on the same mission. They're all there on the thing.
No. Well, just because you're on the same planet doesn't necessarily mean you're on the same mission or you're on the same task force.
And the Empire is all about taking away individuality, and it's basically like being in the military. I mean, you work as a unit, you work by a number that you're assigned or rank. Here we still use names, but there they use letters and numbers and that's your identification. You have no name. You have.
Well, I understand the numbers, like why you do that, but it was the
protocol.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it's a different mission, so therefore different security, different codes.
It just seems
so if you don't know the code, then something's up.
Like if even like you would think that they would just be able to give their name, and they'd be able to look it up. What's your name and protocol number? Like,
well, apparently,
what's your number and protocol, whatever.
There's been so many people that have gotten their armor stolen.
I mean, I guess
they had to implement new security.
I mean, I guess that could be, but it was just one of those. I was
like, how many times have we seen the rebels just take someone's armor, infiltrate a site? Like, maybe they had to change procedure after that. Like, you can't just trust a random number anymore.
Right, but it was just funny. It was like,
yeah,
like really,
yeah. But it did serve the plot purpose. It could be a plot point too. Probably is.
I mean, true, it did do that, but it was just one of those. And they do say that it's not a military operation.
Right.
It's a fact finding.
It's a fact finding or whatever. Whatever AT-14 stands for.
And I don't know. Did they say it in this one?
The archaeology unit.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, it really is.
Did they say it in this one, or was it something that I read somewhere online? And they were talking about how Palpatine had, or was it you told me that Palpatine had a whole bunch of these things pulling the Jedi relics and everything else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's in search for like the Jedi arcane knowledge. Because Sith are obsessed because Sith don't really believe in the Force afterlife, right? So they're obsessed with
living forever.
So they're always looking for that arcane knowledge to live forever. So
that, and if you're a group that's obsessed with increasing your power, that kind of
sure,
makes
yeah,
sense as
exactly.
well.
Power. Because this gateway does both. It gives him power, and technically he can live forever.
Yeah, because he can exist outside time.
Right. So to him, this is the holy grail of holy grails, probably, as far as
most likely. That's his new throne room. He can just go random plot point in time.
Yeah, wherever he wants, whenever he wants. And if he doesn't like it, he goes back and changes it.
Yeah, he can just write little messages, throw it at Vader
through the Stargate.
Through the Stargate, yeah, literally, right.
He's gonna write a little note on baseball.
Yeah. So yeah, but to him, yeah, that doesn't get any better than this.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think when we were talking about it, like the potential of this, like introducing you essentially time travel in the Star Wars universe, there's a lot you can do with it.
Oh yeah, definitely. You could and we'll get to that in the next episode. I'm going to hold back my comments, but yeah, there are plenty of things that can be done there. All right, so moving on. So here we have just looking. This is where
the introduction
of the minister,
Minister Hayden.
Mr. Hayden is his name, and this is not a good picture of him right now because it's a little dark. A lot of the scenes in this episode were dark, but there's a better picture of him later, and
he looks like Snoke.
He does look a little bit like Snoke.
That's it's a fan theory that I saw that I pointed out to you guys.
Yeah, and I thought about it. I thought about that theory, and I'm like, well, maybe
it's
maybe.
Stretch.
I don't think so.
Are we still talking about who Snoke is at this point? Like, is that a thing we're still concerned about?
Especially if the way he went down in The Last Jedi. Spoiler alert, by the way.
I love the way he went down in The Last Jedi.
Yeah, he went down by his own arrogance.
Yeah, but at the same time, like, I love the fact you had 2 movies in a row where Kylo Ren more or less just was like, lightsaber on, dead,
yeah,
and that's all it was.
He tricked him. He used his own arrogance, and anyway. So there's not a he's actually we looked this up, didn't we, Brian? He's voiced by what's his name?
Malik McDowell.
Malik McDowell, who we've seen in Star Trek, we've seen him in other various things. So he's a very recognizable voice. It's not quite his voice; he's disguising it ever so slightly, but it does sound familiar, and it does fit this character really well because this minister is almost like he's just like an encyclopedia of Jedi knowledge. Malcolm McDonald. There it is. Thank you. Correction, Malik. Anyway, but yeah, so he's like a Force professor almost, or a scholar, just maybe on the Force.
I would say
he's a Jedi, and
I would say he's an archaeologist.
Part archaeologist, part art. part of everything. He's it's the first time we've really seen anything like this. I've also saw I was reading somebody thought this guy kind of looked like the guy that ministers to Darth Vader in Rogue One, although they're two different people, but he does look like that guy as well. But I think this guy is probably highly treasured by the Emperor, just simply for his knowledge and probably for discovering other things. I'm sure he's gone through all the holocrons back on the Jedi Temple and probably, gone through everything and scoured it.
Yeah, he seems like he's not necessarily in the military function, but he definitely could be crucial in terms of just finding random artifacts or kind of interpreting.
Well, he does say he found on different planets this painting and everything else. These are just like the artifacts I found here and here and this and this.
Gods,
yeah. So he's piecing everything together, and he's been following this path, Indiana Jones path, if you will.
Very much, he's the evil archaeologist. But yeah, I like him as a bad guy though, because he comes across as this civil guy, but he'll go to any means to accomplish his mission. He has that empire part of him.
Well, I mean, he doesn't seem particularly fond of Mandalorians as a race.
Well, he might be a little racist to them too, but he'll go.
I don't know. He doesn't seem like he's super extreme about it or anything. He's not like I will send your babies into lava sort of thing.
Well, I think he would if he had to. I think he won't stop. I kind of like him as a bad guy. I like listening to him. I like listening to him talk. With
the voice matches really well.
Yeah, it does. All right. Let's see. Let's move on to. Okay, this is a favorite scene of mine, and this is where the minister's talking to the Emperor here via transmission. So this is the first time we get to see the Emperor in Rebels, physically. Anyway, we've heard him before, but this is the first time that we actually see him.
The animation for him is actually pretty good. Like it shows like kind of the age and like kind of the
progression.
Yeah, it's a good animation style.
Yeah, I thought they captured the nose and the look of the Emperor. The hood is perfect. And he's actually voiced by the Emperor himself this time, Ian McDermott. So, Ian. Anyway, Ian McDermott. So it's authentic. It is the Emperor. It feels like the Emperor to me, and I thought it came across really well. And I like what we learn here, though, in this transmission. He even mentions, so even Palpatine is familiar with the Mortis gods, which I found interesting. So he's at least, he may not believe in them, but at least he's familiar with them.
Yeah, he's heard the stories.
Right.
And he said there was a great disturbance in the Force.
With Kanan Jarrus' death, apparently he can no longer see the fate of Lothal. So that's an interesting thing. That's a huge twist, that the light side of the Force is in play against him, and he can't see the future through the dark side when it comes to Lothal now, because of what Kanan Jarrus did, because of Kanan's sacrifice. He's no longer can see that. The Force is literally balancing itself out against him for once. For all his arcane knowledge, he can't find the portal himself. He can't. He's limited. He can't see Lothal's future, which I thought was huge.
It's a very cool plot point.
Yeah, very interesting as they go. All right, then this next scene was very big scene, and I'll give you credit. You called it. You said you thought Hera in the future episodes would be reluctant, and we definitely see that here. We saw her. Say, well, wait a minute, the Emperor's involved. Maybe we shouldn't do this. I don't think we should do this.
Knew it was going to happen. She just lost.
Yeah.
She just lost Kanan.
Yeah.
So now it was going to change her point of view, because before that, she thought they couldn't fail. So that's why she was so reckless, if you will. Like she knew she was going to survive, so she didn't care. And then she got hit with the mortality thing of Kanan, and she's like, maybe we shouldn't do this.
Yeah, it really didn't take a whole lot to kind of transition back to kind of agreeing to it, though. So it was kind of like reluctant, but like the mission is still what it is.
And I think it was important that they showed, Ghost Kanan essentially, putting her,
giving her that. Okay, it's okay. We can still do it.
And that kind of pushed her back over there. But I did like how she said, how Zeb said, "They'll be fine. We'll be fine." And she's like, "I used to believe that."
Yeah, I used to believe that. And then she even says, she's like, "But as soon as I call you back, you come back."
Yeah, exactly.
Like a
mom, I'm gonna
let
a short
you
lease.
Out. It's a short lease. It's not just let's go ahead and do this. It's but as soon as I call you back, you're coming back.
Yeah, exactly. So So it shows the loss, it shows the mourning, which I like because it goes beyond just one episode. It's not like they have this episode where they mourn, and next episode everything's hunky dory.
Yeah,
like
it's actually showing like character progress and change, and
I love seeing that, and that's just another testament to Dave Filoni and his team and the writing staff as well, obviously. So next up, so I love this scene. I love this. We saw this in the trailer. Obviously, it's the Mortis gods, as the Emperor called them. It's actually the father, the daughter, and the son.
What do they call them? Architects?
Archetypes.
That's what Sabine refers to them as.
Yeah, I couldn't remember. Yeah,
like as a mythological
I couldn't
symbolism.
remember. I couldn't tell if she said architects or architects. I was like, architects?
Yes, they're architects.
Yeah, which actually is kind of interesting that you can make an argument that Star Wars is actually really heavily inspired by Joseph Campbell's like take on like mythology and like how you have almost universal archetypes, and it's a nice little nod to it in its own way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very much so. And I like how they use the you got the three hands. You have the father, you have the daughter, and then you have the son. Light side, dark side, and like we want the father over all of it. It's
a weird in-universe trinity.
It is. It's a different take on Christian mythology, really.
It has its similarities.
It does. It pulls from other religions too, but it's interesting. And I like how this painting came to life. I like how it was a 3D cartoon, just from a technical perspective for a minute, and they went 2D. And they had 2D with 3D at the same time.
It has that kind of Paper Mario vibe.
Yeah, it was
interacting together.
Yeah, interacting together, and I was impressed with that because it's something we hadn't seen in Rebels before.
Well, one of the other interesting thing, if you actually look at it, you almost going back to like the symbolism of it, you do have almost the halo-like effect around each individual part of the Trinity. So
yeah.
Like, once again, going back to the Christian mythology aspect of it, it's almost how we depict, like, saints or, like...
or like, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Yeah, it's a lot like that. I even like when the painting came to life, it was almost like a Stargate. Like, you saw the line itself, like, and suddenly...
Well, I thought it was cool. I really thought that we were gonna see a... like, a star map.
Yeah, kind of expand beyond it.
Yeah, like we were going to see the star map pop up, and then maybe they did a quick pan up above to show the same stars aligned above them
in the sky. That would have been cool.
It would have been kind of neat to see. I did like when she turned and I don't remember what she mumbled, but she turned to the Father and said, I couldn't remember.
She says, "We are the beginning, we are the middle, and we are the end," which is very much. Again, Christian mythology.
That's what she mumbled?
The Alpha and the Omega.
That's what she mumbled?
Yes.
Okay.
She says, we're the ones that guard the power. We are the beginning, the middle, and the end. Yeah. That's what she says.
I mean, it was kind of cool to see that kind of... Like, but we were talking, I would have much rather seen them drawn in Rebels as opposed to drawn from Clone Wars.
Yes. Yeah, it would have been cool to see.
It was a pretty cool depiction of it. And I actually think the mural itself is actually kind of a weird highlight for the episode.
Oh, no, I really enjoyed that.
Yeah,
the Indiana Jones aspects all over this, and it was really fucking cool.
Yeah. This is what's been... I hate to say this, but this is what's kind of stuff that's been lacking in the movies of late, is the connectivity. He's really good about connecting things, like something... He pulled this out of Clone Wars and he brought it back. He kind of resurrected this to kind of explain the story, and it's all connected. And you're like, oh yeah, I know this, and I know this, and I know this, and because of this, and this. And if you're a nerd, hell, that's the kind of stuff you crave. But it also gives depth, the meaning, and Filoni does that so well.
Yeah, but in the defense of the films, though, it's not like the original franchise really had the opportunity to do that.
Well, it did, and I will admit that films, by their nature, are limited in their space of time, where series have infinite amounts of time and infinite amounts of episodes, or however many.
Like at best you get Easter eggs in films because you still have to move the main plot along,
and it's got to be told within usually 2.5 hours tops. So yes, I'll give.
Right. Well, your other thing you have is your actors actually age.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's your other issue you run into. You're like, you can't have, like, they couldn't have done the Mortis gods because, even if they showed them in the prequels, by the time we get into episodes 7, 8, 9.
Right, they've been older.
They would have been way older and be like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
This doesn't make any sense.
So, yes, the cartoon medium helps here as well. Yes, it's true. But, yeah, there's so much going on here. In fact, we could probably spend an entire podcast just on the painting, to be honest. But there's, but yeah, I love this entire scene. It was just simply fantastic, and I think we'll move on for the sake of time, but maybe we come back to it some other day. But it just very cool how they used the mural and how the wolves came together and they came alive, and then they moved across the rock.
Right, quick question. Does the wolves in the actual mural seem like it's kind of pushing the wolf theme a little?
Yeah, it's a little bit. It's definitely Filoni showing his favoritism towards.
But I liked how it tied it in, though.
Yeah, it did tie it in.
And it made him seem important, as opposed to before, where like, what do the wolves have to do with anything?
Yeah.
Here they're the keepers of the portal.
And I'm actually even fine with it when the wolves are just walking off and that has a cool animation effect. It's when they do the circle thing to form the gate of the portal where I'm just like, this seems like it's pushing it. Just a little.
It kind of had that primitive, I don't know, Native American kind of feel. I don't know. I liked it, but that was me.
Fair enough.
So, but yeah, it was very cool how the portal, they became the portal, and the painting moved. That, oh God, like I said, I could go on and on.
Oh yeah, and thanks by the way for recommending watching those.
The Mortis trilogy.
The Mortis arc, definitely.
It is kind of cool art.
I mean, I didn't really have to watch the whole thing in order to get this.
Yeah. But it
was kind of cool. It was kind of cool to see
a good background.
Yeah, it was kind of cool to see the background of who those people were.
Yeah.
But then again, that's why I was like, oh, I really wish I would have seen.
Well, there's definitely connections. Like, now you know why I think Ahsoka is so deeply, why she had to come into this episode, and why he brought back the Mortis arc, because she's tied to the daughter.
Yep.
And essentially could be the daughter because her life force got transferred into her. Spoiler alert, but. Or saved her, however you want to look at it. So there's a lot going on here. But anyway, like I said, for time purposes, we'll move on. So here it is. There's the actual portal. Again, it's the, I like this. Again, I just like the wolves in the circle. It was kind of simple, kind of maybe a little hokey, but it was cool. And
it just seemed forced in some ways.
Yeah.
But it's still a cool portal effect.
Yeah, it was neat. And I like
carried on the tribal effect.
Yeah, definitely.
That the music had earlier, and the whole this part right here was definitely very tribal. Like it looked like a cave painting that you'd see like the ancients, with the
finger drawn. Yeah, it was cool, and I liked how they ended the episode with him just going through the portal too. It was just like, it was building. Like I loved how Sabine kind of sacrificed herself essentially and just played along just to get the other stormtroopers away so he could unlock the painting.
Yeah, and it was kind of amusing banter about like, well, this is protocol. Well, yeah, this is just protocol for us too, sort of thing.
He's like,
great. Yeah, now we both have to.
Yeah, now we both have to report.
Yeah, that was funny, but this whole build up, because it's just a build up, and then this episode ends with him just flowing through the portal. And think, Brian, you said it, that you would have been pissed off if we had to wait a week.
Exactly, like
to see,
like
it wasn't back to back.
These last episodes that we've gotten since the break, they very much seem like they were all 1 hour episodes.
Yeah,
that they just they broke them up into halves because if we would have had to wait a week after that, I've been so pissed.
All that mythology, all that build up.
Yes, and you're like
the portal.
We went the whole thing. All we did was go through a portal.
Yep, that is more or less the episode.
We don't get to see what's on the other side. Like I can't wait another week for this. This is stupid.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, you look at this episode. It's like, oh, we're going to go to this dig site, hang around the dig site, go to a portal.
Yeah, and you're like,
it's a lot of setup. Yeah, essentially.
You're like, okay.
But that was this episode, and believe it or not, guys, that's the end of The Wolves and the Door.
The only bad part about this episode is what the usual thing is time.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, why are these things 20 minutes long?
But luckily, we went right from this episode to the next episode, which is A World Between Worlds. Which of the two is the better episode, obviously, because of what happens. But
it's the payoff to the setup.
It's the payoff, but still, nothing wrong with the Wolves in the Door, not by any stretch of the imagination. But let's dive right into A World Between Worlds. This is what I like to. I called this your first steps into a brave new world, kind of like when Obi-Wan told Luke when he was training to be a Jedi. Same thing. You've taken your first small steps into a bigger world.
It's actually kind of interesting how minimalistic it is as well.
It's minimalistic, and yet it works so well. It's literally just pass in space. We're back. We're back into the like. The whole time this has kind of been going on, really, because when Ezra first gets his kyber crystal for his first lightsaber, he's in this same kind of environment. I just don't think he realizes it.
Yeah.
Like he's just in space, and it's like we call it the Tron moment, and down came his kyber crystal to him.
Yeah.
It was the same environment. So this temple has had this power this whole time, and we've seen bits and pieces.
Yeah. Also, when he enters the temple, we have like kind of the montage of voices from other films and such.
And
right?
that's what makes it cool, because right off the bat, I think you hear Obi-Wan Kenobi. I think it's Obi-Wan, or no, it's Yoda.
You hear Qui-Gon too.
You hear Qui-Gon, but it starts off with Yoda with he does the whole thing about the kids and the mind of a child, and then it goes into Obi-Wan Kenobi, and you hear Obi-Wan Kenobi. You hear all these different parts from all these different movies. You even hear Episode 7 as he's walking through here in this thing later.
Yep.
We'll talk a little bit more about that then.
Yeah, the different things. You know what this reminded me of? It reminds me of Mario Kart.
What, Rainbow Road?
Mm-hmm.
I have
or
thought
that
about
you
that
have that sort of just pathway with no railing or
yes,
anything.
and it just kind of like you're like, oh,
it's like you take a black and white version of Rainbow Road.
Yeah, like
kind of.
But you know, it's what I thought was actually interesting about this was that when he's walking, he doesn't realize he's walking on the path, because when you look down, there's nothing there. There's not even the size to show the white.
Right.
Because we see it at an angle and we see the white on it.
Right.
But when he looks down, it's almost like in Indiana Jones,
the
Last Crusade, and the Path of God, when he has
yeah.
to take his leap of faith.
Yes.
That's almost what this feels like.
It could be. That could be an interesting way of putting it. I mean, the white lines could just be there for us, just so we can make sense of it. But it's...
I don't know, but it's never like... As you see them kind of walk around the stage, like it never seems like it's in question. Like they follow the path pretty well.
Oh, I know. But when we're walking and we see their feet walking... We don't see any kind of like lines telling them where to walk. We see them. It's like that puddle in space kind of thing.
It's that nostalgia too, just because you hear all these different great moments, these great lines that you know from all the different movies, and
as
they're all one as he's walking through.
As he walks through past different portals
too. Yeah, exactly. Because that's where all the sounds are actually coming from. We just don't realize it.
Yeah, it's all scenes from the different portals. And I sent you the link to the one, and they showed it was episode 8.
Yeah,
where the drawings on the sides of the portals, the one is actually the creature from episode 8 from Canto Bight, that racing llama or whatever he is.
Yeah, the llama thing,
Yeah. And it actually shows them on the sides.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of cool too.
It's all like, it shows you that Star Wars is not just Rebels, it's not just it's not just the classic trilogy, it's not just the prequels, it's not just the sequels. It's one big gigantic story. And that's what I love about this. This is the first time you really feel like you're getting everything thrown at you.
Well, the interesting is, like, ideally this should be like almost the entire history of the universe, right? So like it probably goes on infinity,
I would say. Even the Emperor in his transmission, he refers to it as a place where the living meet the dead. And who else says something about time and space? I think it's I think it might be where Sabine's talking to the minister, that it's a gateway for time and space or something. Somebody says that. I can't remember now off the top of my head. That one's going to drive me nuts.
It was probably the minister that said it.
Somebody says it, but somebody makes the connection. But the minister, and we'll get to that here in a minute too. But this whole environment is just very cool. I told Brian, you came over and you watched me watch it for the first time. You'd already seen it once without telling me. But I got the Star Wars feels. It was very nostalgic for me as a long-time Star Wars fan. I was like, oh, wow, yeah. I was like, yes, finally, it's one-stop shop. It's like, this is it. This is what brings it all together. So, I don't know. That's what I found incredibly cool. This is just the opening shot of it, of course. And you're kind of like, wow, what is this? It's neat. So, it also brings back that Star Wars wonder, if that makes sense. I don't know if I'm making any sense when I said that. But
no, I mean, that's just describing sensation you felt about it,
more
or less.
Yeah, exactly. So next up we have Sabine meeting with Minister Hayden.
I actually thought this was a really good scene. Like, their back and forth throughout the entire thing is actually really well done.
It does, and again, this is what made me really like. I almost like this guy, this minister. I mean, he's
interestingly civil up until the point where he's not quite getting the information he wants, and Sabine's being a bit of a smartass about it.
In some ways, he's like a Thrawn light. character to me. He's not Thrawn, but he doesn't have
Thrawn's. He doesn't necessarily have the militaristic.
He doesn't have the militaristic.
He is definitely more academic. Character.
Yeah, academically, he's the academic bad guy. And I don't know. What do you guys think of?
Yeah, I mean, he seemed like he was the like maybe he was an architect or whatever. Not architect, but archaeologist beforehand, and he only joined the Empire to further his knowledge. And that's what it kind of came across, because he didn't seem like a straight Empire type person.
No,
but he definitely had those mannerisms in the back, like he knew he could use them if needed to.
Oh yeah,
but he much preferred just to talk to somebody and get their.
Well, yeah, because even he says, "Well, I'll admit, you figured out something instantaneously that took me I couldn't solve after probably months of work."
Yeah, Well, that and he even says when Sabine's kind of talking back and more or less not really interacting with him, it's like, I really would have much rather have a civil conversation
about art. Yeah, without having to do this. But you leave me no choice.
Yeah.
The Mandalorian side of you, I guess,
only responds to this kind of
motivation, essentially. So yeah, I did. I really kind of enjoyed his character. I was almost sorry to see him go a little bit. I would like to see him more.
Like, actually, if this character stayed along for another couple episodes, I wouldn't have been against it.
I wouldn't have been against it
though? Or is he Snoop?
Possibly. No, not at all. Not in my opinion. But,
I don't think so either.
But you never know. All right, so here, this is just another shot of him kind of doing that whole force walk. And here, this is where we start hearing the other movies. Start hearing stuff from the Clone Wars. You hear Anakin Skywalker talking to Ahsoka, saying, "You would have made it as my Padawan. You might not have made it as Obi-Wan's Padawan, but you would have made it with mine." You hear. This is where you hear Kylo Ren. You hear Rey talking to
Maz.
Not just to Maz. You hear Maz too, but you hear I believe it's Rey talking to Finn, saying we will see each other again. I believe that. You hear that. It's all mixed in. Just all these again. It's just another. It's the Star Wars feels. That's why I threw it back in there again.
But I mean,
it's awesome.
I think it's in some ways kind of an interesting technique because it's more or less using the audio to kind of force the nostalgia a little bit, isn't it?
Sure, yeah, absolutely. It's done on purpose. It's done for fans like me. This is what we want. I want to see more connectivity. I want to know that everything is linked in because it is one giant story. I don't mind bringing up new people in. I'm fine with that. But give me something with a little bit more lineage than just Kylo Ren is.
Well, I think this was the perfect way to do it too, to show you that it's all, no time and space doesn't resonate here. Everything is here, and you can go past all these different. It's like going through a natural history museum.
Kind of, yeah.
And you get to look through each portal at each different Neanderthal man and whatever. But
at some point, there's going to be tours. It's going to be little audiobooks.
It's very cool the way that they tied everything together. And like Brian said, for like the nostalgia reason, like as you're watching, you're like, I can connect to that. I can connect to that. I connect to that. You know what I mean? Like as you're watching, and I think it was cool to have the whole universe connect
one place,
and he can walk through, and what we end up learning, and that he can affect anything he wants, and it's just like, whoa.
Exactly, it's a major change in Star Wars mythology too. This is the first time time travel is introduced into Star Wars all of a sudden.
I mean, it's in this case is limited in a very limited fashion. Like you have to almost find a portal to this place.
Find the right place, right portal,
but realistically, this
right
is
portal, right movie.
Yeah. Realistically, though, like this is something that's probably going to force creep later on, where you're going to see it expand.
That's the dark side of things. Yes, I will admit that for as cool as this place is, and as much as I love it, yes, Disney could totally use this to reboot Star Wars.
Oh yeah, and I think it might even be a question of when rather than if.
We'll see. I hope not.
Because like even if you don't do a complete reboot, you could always do like, let's go back and change things from like this series,
or let's redo the prequels. Yeah, I know. I don't want to see any of that, but it could happen. Yeah.
Well, either that, or you allow like characters to astral project into the future or the past, or do any number of things where you have time travel as canon in the universe.
It is now. It is totally canon. And the other thing I will say, back to a positive part of this, is it really expands on just how large the Force is. It's not just Sith. It's not just Jedi. That it's literally everything. It is time. It is space. It can go and do anything pretty much. It's all
but
powerful.
I think by the time you go through the Clone Wars, like the like series, like you really do see that expansion really heavily as well.
Oh yes, but this takes it to a whole new level. It's always been confined to a timeline, pretty much for the most part. This is the first time we see the Force be able to actually jump outside of time, and so it's, you know, like I said, it's time travel, but it shows you that the Force is much more than we thought it was. They continue to expand on the mythology. We continue to see how much greater it really is, you know, and just how it's not just Jedi, it's not just Sith, it's not just something that you use to move rocks with. You know, that it's everywhere. It's literally like it is in Star Wars universe. It's God, you know, essentially it's the same power.
Kinda.
Yeah.
I mean, either that or something close to like Tao is. It's
like, closer to Eastern philosophy than it is
where
to
it's
Western
essentially the
Christianity,
makeups of everything.
But in a way, it's kind of like the spirit of God. However you want to, you know, relate it. It's definitely expands here major. I mean, it's everywhere.
It's essentially the forces of the universe in its entirety. It is gravity. It is time.
It is time. It is
reality. Essentially,
it's all the variables.
You know, it's even, you know, they open up with the Obi-Wan, which is where we first hear about the Force, and that it's a living, you know, it's a energy field surrounds us, created by all living things, you know. So obviously there's a huge expansion on that.
And that it almost exists outside of living
time.
things.
Yeah, outside of living things, that it can take you to different places, different times, different universes, you know, whatever. It's omnipotent is basically what Filoni's done, essentially, in my opinion. But which makes it cool, too. So, all right. So next scene, obviously, he stumbles upon the portal to. Oh, first of all, he stumbles upon the return of the conveyor, which is actually the owl of the daughter that we see in the painting, and we also have seen this owl. We saw it last in season 3 on when they were hiding out on their planet. I can't remember the name of it now. Avalon. So we saw it there. We saw it with Ahsoka there. We saw it on Malachor with Ahsoka flying at the end. We didn't know what happened all of a sudden, but here we not only do we see this Ezra run into the daughter owl or conveyor, but he comes across the portal where, you know, it shows, and sure enough, he sees. Right, we finally get to see what happens after the temple came down.
Yeah, we're seeing from the other side.
Ahsoka and Vader. We can see it, yes, from the reverse side, Brian. Which this was phenomenal because I even think I screamed out to you. I was like, "We finally get to see what happens." You're like, "Yeah," I'm like, "Yes."
It's pretty brief though, actually.
It's very brief, but it's something I always wanted to know. It's like, why the fuck did they do that? They closed the temple on it. We don't get to see the final few seconds of the fight.
Remember when we saw we saw at the end of the season, we always see as the thing come down.
Yep.
And then we see Ahsoka walk down the back of the pyramid, and we're like...
Briefly.
Yeah, and we're
and
like...
we see Vader walk limping out.
Yeah, we're like, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah, exactly. What was that? We rewind it. We watched it again. Rewind it. Watch it again. But now we finally get to see what happened at the conclusion of the fight, which was great, which was awesome, by the way. You finally got to see... Vader was going to kill her, but she was going to take Vader through the floor. And then that's when he's able to... Through the owl kind of hooting at him, he's like... grab her, and he grabs her. He pulls her out of her place in time and saves her.
The other thing that bothers me about that, how come Vader doesn't know that?
Well, I don't think Vader sees it.
Vader was getting ready to hit her with a lightsaber when he pulled her out. Vader wasn't falling through the floor yet.
Yeah, but he pulls her. Here's. Let me show you the next scene.
But he wasn't falling through the floor yet.
Not yet, but right here. Okay, so he's already swinging the lightsaber. She's already got her lightsabers in the ground.
So you think do you think once he reaches in, time freezes and he pulls her out?
I think he did it extreme last second, like split second, right before he's, as you can see from this screenshot that I got, he's halfway through his swing, if not split second away from impaling her with his lightsaber.
But Vader doesn't realize that he doesn't hit her?
Well, I think he might have realized that, but he might have thought, well, this is before the Obi-Wan disappearance, but
it's just one of those things that was like, that was
as soon
one of the minute things.
Also, as soon as he swings, he falls through the floor, so the floor gives way underneath him. So, you know, he has no idea what happened. Maybe she ducked. Maybe that's what he thought. I don't know. Originally, though, before Ezra shows up here, I'm pretty sure he kills her, obviously. So, you know.
Either that or she's self-sacrificed.
Right. Could be. So, but yeah, it's an interesting moment because this is the first time, again, through time travel, that something's been changed in the Star Wars universe, which, this was great for me. I got to see the end of the fight, and I get to see him save Ahsoka, which is what everybody was wondering, what Dave was referring to
a
year and a half ago with his T-shirts.
Does it almost seem like this entire time traveling bit was almost set up as a way to save Ahsoka in the storyline? Just a little.
But you know what's funny about this, Aaron, is it could be a complete 100% retcon. It's almost like he had it in mind when he did it, when he filmed.
Oh, he definitely might have. It just seems like it's a way of accomplishing that.
Yes, it definitely does accomplish that. I just wonder, though, did he really know what he was doing when they filmed, when he did this 2 years ago? Mm-hmm. When he did the conclusion of season 2, did he know that we were going to come to this point in season 4?
Mm-hmm. I think he did.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, why would we see Ahsoka walk off?
Yeah.
I think he did.
I mean, there's definitely other ways you could have written that, but I actually would assume they had a rough idea of where they wanted this to go. Mm-hmm. And I don't think it's unusual for a writer to have an idea of how they want to end a series, even they're not 100% sure on how they get there.
Right.
I've just never seen it so detailed. If that is the case, I don't think I've ever seen it so detailed because of how it comes, when she goes back, it picks up right where we pick up seeing her.
Well, yeah, there might have been a good chunk of this that's been storyboarded for years.
It could have been. And I hope it is, because if that's the case, that just shows you that this guy gets it. That he has an end game in store, and he knows how to get us there.
Well, yeah, there's certain writers that really work very well in that architect model, where they have an idea where the universe is, they have an idea where they want to plot things along, and it's really kind of trying to tinker in between scenes where they make it work.
This feels very much like the payoff to me, like of years of work. I mean, it's fantastic. Again, we could go on. I could spend 3 hours talking about this, but I won't. So we switch back to Mr. Hayden, and basically talking about the paintings that he's shown. Again, he shows her the Mortis. He shows her other pictures and drawings that he's found of the Mortis gods through her, and they start talking about the hand, and Sabine's like, well, it's a language. She's like, how do you know that? Well, I'm smarter than you. She keeps rubbing it back in his face.
They're not really having much of a conversation as much as just being a smart ass.
But they do have somewhat of a conversation kind of going on. What'd you guys think about this whole...
Oh, I actually really like the scene. Like, I like the character. I kind of like talking about the symbolism and kind of like some of the small details of it.
I like the symbols in the back. In fact, I should have put it up, Brian, that one you sent me. But in the background, it does look like Snoke's ring that he wears is in the background of one of those shots of the painting, which only leads more to the Snoke theory with this guy.
Yeah. So, weirdly enough, looking at the picture, like, I didn't realize while watching how much it almost gives a Plague Doctor look to him with the hood and, like, how his kind of face shaped.
Yeah, a little. He kind of reminds me of the Emperor here with his hood up, and then he's got that big nose kind of kicking out. Kind of not as ugly, obviously, but a little bit. It's. But yeah, he kind of has that. What was that horrible Nazi doctor or whatever? He did all those experiments. He's terrible. I can't think of his name.
Yeah,
but yeah, he kind of has that. What do you think, Brian, of the scene? Anything else?
I enjoyed it. It is what it is. I felt like like I said, we felt the majority of these 2 episodes we were watching Indiana Jones, which I think was what added to the extra level of everything for us.
Copy. All right. Well, let's move on then. Next scene. So here's where we learn, Ahsoka and Ezra had this brief scene together, and I guess Ezra kind of catches her up on. She wants to know how the hell he can be so much older now, and where is she? What's going on? And Ezra kind of catches her up a little bit.
Where's Kanan?
Where's Kanan? And then the big reveal is that that she knows that what that conver is. That conver is Morai, who is the daughter.
Yeah, refers to her as a friend.
Shows her life. Shows Ezra her life. But so here's another connection back to the Mortis god. So it was Ahsoka saved because she has that connection to the daughter? Is that why she's the only one that can be saved using these portals?
I think you could save others. It's just when we go to Kanan a bit, there really is the timing aspect of it, and I actually think what they did with Kanan was actually really, really well done.
Oh, I thought so too, but it just.
But no, I don't think it's an issue with just like the life aspect of it, or like the life energy bit of it that makes that.
I just wonder if like she's been called back, like she was supposed to die there, and for whatever reason the daughter is interfering because she's needed
later.
Like something
Could be.
else could be.
I mean, it could be something like that, but I don't think it was. That's the only reason why she was. I don't think she's the only one that could be affected.
Okay, so it's not limited by.
No, I don't think so. And I mean, by this point, we were already started talking about like how Jedi's can move on and still interact with like the will of the Force, and kind of we started talking about Kanan actually transitioning to the wolf thing,
and that's coming.
Or at the very least, like influencing, if not directly, being the spirit wolf thing.
Well, they go into how he's in. We'll get to that here in a minute, but yeah, I'll talk about that here in a second, actually. Let's move on to the next scene real quick then. This is just basically Hera and Zeb when they plotted out how they're going to get Sabine out, which I thought was a clever part. They're portable units. She points that out. And obviously, they've got an idea. Typical Rebels banter, I guess, how to free their friends and all that, and use the knocking as language and all that. There's not much more really to tell. Unless there's anything else you guys want to touch on there real quick.
Yeah, no, I'm good.
So let's move on to Kanan's will. I've always, I've talked about in past podcasts where you have the living force and the cosmic force, and how one feeds the other and the other feeds the other simultaneously. So you got the cosmic greater force feeding the living force back to the cosmic force.
It's a weird Ouroboros.
It's kind of a circle of life kind of thing, right? So, and when you hear her talk about Kanan, now part of the cosmic force, that his will can be, can still guide others, and she explains that, pointing out the wolf, and that. So basically, here's another expansion of mythology in a way.
Yeah, it really cements like kind of some of the assumptions we've had from previous episodes.
With the wolf. So yes, people that have passed on can present themselves as spirit guides, animal guides, or some other form,
or they have the ability to influence in some way. Whether this is actually limited to like Jedi, or whether this is something Sith can do or not, actually it doesn't really go into.
It doesn't really go into that. I will say, from what I've seen, I'd say no.
You would assume it's a Jedi.
It's a Jedi light side only kind of thing. But I think she knows this probably from the daughter and having that convoy around her all the time. That that Morai is influencing her even through this. So again, it's another major expansion on Star Wars mythology and what the Force can do and what those that have passed on can do, even if it's only temporary in Kanan's case, whereas Yoda and Obi-Wan and now Luke can actually transcend and keep their essence, and I guess Anakin actually, too.
In some cases, even interact
physically with the world. That's some completely different thing. But there seems to be this like lower level where they can maybe embody an animal, or
like it's almost like a tier system.
Like a tier system, yeah, kind of. It's kind of interesting. So it'd be interesting to see that explained a little bit more out. But it might be good to leave it mystery too. I don't know. So. But this is a major key moment for me in this episode. What do you think, Aaron?
No, it definitely kind of concretes a lot of things this season's been building towards. You really do have kind of an expansion of what we've seen in Light Force abilities. And yeah, it in some ways is an interesting aspect, or an interesting expansion of kind of what we've seen.
Yeah, definitely. Brian?
Yeah, I mean, I like how she, all the stuff we've been talking about, and we've been like, I wonder if this is this, and I wonder if this is this. She kind of just solidified what we've been saying the whole time, what we thought, and saying, yes, the wills can move on. Sometimes they move into their creature, and blah, blah, blah.
Like, it allows it to be more than just assumptions and fan theories.
Yep. Yeah. This kind of puts some solidified fact, I guess, behind it.
Yeah, it kind of makes it somewhat more canon.
Yeah, and more believable, I suppose. And then, obviously, Ezra makes the assumption. He's like, well, if I can save you, then I could save Kanan.
Yeah, it's a logical assumption.
And Brian, even you pointed out, he's like, because he's saying all these things, like, I can change the future, I can do this and do that. He's like, who's that sound like? I'm like, well, yeah, it sounds like Anakin. It's 100%. Anakin Skywalker. Because what's Anakin want to do? Anakin wants to save everybody. He wants to keep people from dying. He wanted to save his mother. He couldn't. He wanted to save Padme. He couldn't.
Yeah, but like,
you know.
even we were talking about like there might have been a way to like force push or pull or something where that could have kind of worked out, but like
Right, with Kanan, yeah, it's a little different, but it's we're talking about Ezra suddenly making the assumption that he can change everything and make things better for himself. Because he can. He has the power suddenly, and he has to learn to let go. And that's the one thing. That's the one thing about Vader. Vader can never let go. That's why he becomes Darth Vader. He can't accept death. He can't accept to let those who die go on. And so this is that lesson being replayed for us again, except now it's between Ahsoka and Ezra, while Ezra watches his master,
more or less reliving
figure, relive it literally right in front of his face.
Yeah, the whole you can't save everyone.
Right, exactly.
And but one thing I didn't, but I brought up to you, as we were watching or at the end.
Yeah.
Yet again, he could have pulled Kanan right as the explosion was going. After he already pushed the thing away, he could have pulled him right before he caught.
Like split second, like he did with Ahsoka.
Exactly. He could have done it again. Like, I mean, I understand why we didn't do it because it was the lesson, but it was one of those things. Like, again, they could have done it this time. He's like, he basically, because the portal is right next to whoever you want it to be next to. He could have just reached in right as he had pushed him away, and the flames were getting ready to come. Just pull him over, and when you pull him into the portal, and he's on that little walkway.
Right.
His clothes are smoldering a little bit. You know what I mean? Like,
worst case scenario, he lost his feet. Something.
Yeah. But it was just. It was just weird. Like, I'm like, oh, come on.
Well, if you think about it, though, and again, because Ahsoka points it out, not only did Kanan save them, but let's just assume that they could still save themselves. If Kanan doesn't die, there is no
Doom.
And if there's no Doom, there's no going to the Jedi Temple to begin with. So it's kind of.
So essentially, like you start running into kind of a grandfather paradox sort of thing.
Yes, very much so.
Well, that's what Ahsoka said. She's like, if you save him, then he doesn't save you.
You guys die.
Then you die.
But even if we assume that they can still somehow survive, then because we've already established that there can't be Kanan the Jedi and Doom the Wolf at the same time. So therefore, there's
nothing to lead him
to the temple and save the temple.
So do you think when we saw Kanan sitting in front of the wolf inside of where he was meditating or whatever, do we think the wolf was really there?
Yes.
You think the wolf was really there, or do you think it was just him because it was both sides of him essentially because it was him as the wolf Doom because it can't exist without the one at the other, and he was just meditating and we just kind of saw a reflection
with himself. No, because that's not Doom. Doom is the big giant wolf. The other smaller wolf, I'm still not sure if it's just a force wolf or what. But
I
don't know.
So, to add on to that a little bit, at this point, we can almost make the assumption he actually is able to see the future briefly in the previous episode.
Yes, I think he doesn't get to see everything. He doesn't see his own fate, but I think he knows something is going on.
Yeah, clearly we connected that this planet is connected to essentially a time travel temple.
It's a major nexus if you want to get into Force nexuses, like I brought up before in the past. Yes, I think it's a major nexus for the light side of the Force.
Yeah. So, and if we're establishing time travel is already a thing, and astral projection is more or less a thing by episode 8,
right?
He most likely saw some aspects of his own future.
Well, yeah, you could hear it.
And prepared for it.
Like, you heard, before he even died, you heard the next episode, you heard Ezra go, Kanan, you never prepared me for this. He was hearing these things. What that meant, he probably couldn't see totally. It's kind of like looking through a mirror darkly, right? Where Fuzz...
I think it would have been cool in this scene, because obviously when he gets saved or whatever, is if he looked over his shoulder right into the portal and saw Ahsoka and Ezra. You know what I mean? And then all he just goes, no.
No, holds him back.
Yes, like not really hold him back, but just, no.
No, yeah. Like the Superman thing.
Like the Superman?
Yeah.
Holds his hand up?
No.
I think that really wasn't that great in Superman, though, for being honest.
But I think it would have worked here.
I think it really would have worked here.
Yeah. It would have been, if he had suddenly saw him somehow through the Force.
Yep. I don't know. I kind of like the aspect of his last moments being like that, almost regaining his sight. And
because that was a powerful moment because that's his last. He gets his sight back just to see the woman that he loves, and then that's it.
Yeah, I think that's actually a really good ending.
Yeah, because he's one with all living things. But for that portal scene, it would have been cool if he kind of,
Yeah.
I don't know. I just feel like it almost retcons that scene, though, if you do it that way.
Yeah. So it's interesting because Kanan learns, or Ezra learns this lesson to let go, and as soon as he lets go, he starts wishing for a different life, right? Like it's like he goes from one bad thing to the next. Like he starts doubting himself a little bit and doubting why does it have to be this way?
Yeah.
Why did I have to be a Jedi almost? And the minute he does that, that whole place is just so force sensitive that it responds to his emotions, I think, and I think that's how the Emperor is able to find him.
Well, that and like the Emperor actually might just be able to track him, just because he is also a Force wielder and he's a powerful,
a very powerful Sith Lord.
Yeah.
Yes, I think that's part of it. But
I think the reason he's able to he's always able to find Ezra, and I just think he wasn't able to find this place.
Mm-hmm.
And once Ezra went to this place, that's why he can find the place now.
Yeah.
I think that helped him hone in, but I don't think he could. I think he was still looking until Ezra started to doubt himself. I think once he did that,
until it went like a little more negative.
I think once he went there, that's what triggered the dark side. That's what triggered.
Oh no, I think he was just able to track him just as who he was. But like, yeah, you make an argument the emotional component.
Yeah, and I think it is. And he's in a certain spot, and he's like, because even while he's doing it, he's like, help me, Ezra. Show me where you are, or whatever.
Yeah.
But I did think it was weird that he came through the same portal that Kanan just died in.
Yeah, that was a little strange. I'll give you that.
It was kind of odd that all of a sudden it was just like, it went from being that to all of a sudden it was like the cauldron. Like a cauldron with
a little fire pit thing.
We've seen that before. There's an episode in Clone Wars where he uses the cauldron against Yoda. And he's using that same thing.
But I thought it was weird that he showed up in the same portal that... Like, it would have been one thing if they were walking away, and then, like, they come to another portal.
Yeah.
But it was weird that it was the same portal. So once somebody dies, does that portal change?
Well,
either that or the Space Wizard altered the portal.
Or he knows that the portal's on Lothal, and he's searching through the dark side, maybe, and that portal's on Lothal. I don't know. That could be... The other thing, though, that makes me think that he doesn't find Ezra, because going back to Clone Wars, okay, in order for the Emperor to create problems for Yoda, he had to go through Count Dooku, because Count Dooku and Yoda were linked because they were once master and apprentice. So they had to use that link, resever that, or reconnect that link in order to create the problem for Yoda, right? The Emperor and Ezra Bridger have no connection. And don't get me wrong, the Emperor is incredibly strong with the dark side of the Force. Sidious is probably a master of the dark side. We know that, but there's no link there. So that just makes me wonder, maybe he's in the general area with the Force, but he doesn't find him in that area in the gateway until Ezra goes and does something stupid like saying, "I wish my life was different."
Either that, or essentially you're crossing almost into a different dimension here. Right. That might take a lot of time to kind of, even if you can track him, it might take a while to actually force your way through a dimension.
Because he can't get in. He can see him, but he can't get in.
He gets his hand in.
He gets his hand in once he grabs him with the fire, which we'll get to here. Actually, let's just keep going.
Because he's pulling himself in.
Right. So there's it's just a cool shot of the Emperor through the portal.
Yeah.
And then, next shot here. Let's see. We might have to go through. This is just Sabine being rescued and talking to... this is where Sabine learns how to close the portal. Yeah. This whole scene, which I thought was cool.
Yeah, because he's like...
the daughter opens it.
The daughter opens it, and the son's hands close it. And she's like, I didn't think about that.
Right, so that's the reveal. That's pretty much the only reveal of the scene. But it shows that they can work together. When they do work together, they'd actually figure stuff out. But obviously, both sides... Sabine's very reluctant to give him anything.
And then she's like, I know that tune. Sorry for the mess.
Yeah, sorry for the mess. And that's when you hear that knock. It's
Yeah, right before that.
Yeah. So, pretty cool scene. But let's get back to... Because I think we got something... So this is her being rescued, obviously. They're tipping the portable headquarters on its...
the little command center.
On its head, yeah. So yeah, here's the force fire and whatnot. This is when he sends the force fire through, which I thought was interesting that he could attack them. He couldn't enter it himself, but he could send the dark side of the force through because it's...
He can send the force through as a proxy
almost, yeah, which I thought was interesting to me because he couldn't physically be there, but yet through the force of fire, he could attack them.
And it was interesting that Ahsoka jumped in front
to save,
and she was pretty powerful enough to hold
almost
him back.
hold him off.
Yeah, almost 90% hold him back.
Yeah,
and then she's like, I just can't keep doing it. I can't. And Ezra got right behind her and did right. But it's like, yeah.
And they pushed him back for a second, which was interesting because he's a Sith master. Yeah, let's face it.
Well, they pushed him all the way back into the portal.
Right.
And then they started. Then
they started to run away, which was interesting.
Well, yeah, but there could be an argument that it takes a lot of energy just to breach through the portal itself.
Right, exactly. And I think the only reason he can is because that world that they're in is nothing but pure force. Whether light, dark, or otherwise. So, but it's it's interesting that I don't know. There's just so much more force mythology. I could just keep going on and on. I got to keep telling myself to shut myself up, but. There's a lot going on here. Obviously, this is where he tells, they're being chased by the fire, and he's like, come find me. She says, I promise you I will.
And actually, the fire actually spreads out a lot farther than you would think, because it actually spreads out almost farther than his lightning does whenever you see it.
Oh, yeah, much farther. I mean, it's incredible what he does with that blue force fire, Sith fire, whatever you want to call it. What I found interesting about this is she goes back to Malachor. He goes back to Lothal, right?
Yeah, they more or less go back to their respective portals.
Right, so technically she goes back to Malachor. Probably it's still Malachor, but it's also probably the same time frame. It's probably
that's why we see her walk away.
But it's the same time frame, so that's 2 years. She goes back 2 years before Ezra ever leaves.
Yep.
So where is she? What has she been doing for 2 years? Is she intentionally stepping back because she's afraid she's going to mess with time and therefore mess with the whole process? I think that's what
it is.
Yeah,
I think it's because she warns Ezra about messing with time,
right?
And then he says, "Come find me," and she knows that she knows Kanan has died now,
right?
And that Ezra is older, so she's like, I can't meet him because he thinks I'm dead. Mm-hmm. He obviously hasn't seen me since this moment.
Right.
So she's probably going to hold off until she hears that Kanan has died.
And then go. Just for the sake of the timeline.
Well, that, or you can make an argument, maybe she stepped to the side and was gathering information or doing some other odd plot here or there.
For 2 years.
Yeah.
Or maybe she's marooned on Malachor. I don't know.
Or maybe she was just making a new series that we're going to see. Get to
could be too. It's very, very possible.
Marooned on Malachor, the series.
The series.
Well, that would be interesting.
Dun, 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 dun.
Just sit right back and you hear a tale.
Little Alton, my Jedi.
Friend.
Yeah, a tale of a Jedi Knight who got stranded here on Malachor for 2 years and a night.
There you go, Brian. Call Dave Filoni.
Yeah.
You pitch it. And then, obviously, this is her back in Malachor. And then, again, perfect with Filoni, ties right back into where she's a little further back. But when we see her at the end of season 2, she's walking down that triangle, that step, very briefly. So, and she's limping. It
goes right back.
Too, and we know why she's limping now, because she's been hurt by the fire.
Yep.
Yeah, by the Emperor. So it perfectly blends in. If it's retcon, it's one hell of a retcon. I'll tell you that. It feels like he had the whole damn thing planned out, or at least some.
Well enough.
Well enough, yeah. Well enough of a line. Just really cool stuff. And then we see obviously this Ezra escaping the fire too, which I just thought was a cool shot of the fire behind him.
Yeah.
And he escapes as well.
And then once he's gone, the Emperor can't get him back into that place.
Right, exactly. In fact, as soon as she cuts his body, because she grabs him for a second, and when she grabs with his force fire around his leg, then suddenly his hand comes through the portal.
Because he's pulling himself
through.
He still doesn't know where they are.
Right.
But he knows where Ezra is.
Yes, exactly. And then when she cuts that, then he's drawn back out. And then once he escapes the portal, then the Emperor has no way of getting in.
There's no way to find it, because he was looking for Ezra more so than the place.
So Ezra was his door in, and then Ezra removed himself from the situation. And then obviously the next shot is Sabine reveals to him, it's the brother, or the son. I'm sorry, the son's hand. So he touches the hand, activates what I'm assuming is a dark side power, because when we've seen Ezra...
He glows red.
Not only does it glow red, but when Ezra ever encounters the dark side of the Force, he faints.
It drains him.
It drains him and he faints. So, other than the time he messed with the Sith holocron anyway. But yeah, in the past episodes, that's what we've seen happen. And the same thing kind of happens here. And I like what the brother, or the son says. I believe the son says the future is not...
It's ever-changing.
Is ever-changing, or by its nature can be changed.
Yeah.
So that's thus stating, the obvious, that they can use this to change things. So, another kind of clue that we could be seeing something. Either Filoni's going to come back to this for another series.
Jedi's in time.
Or some other, or some other thing. They could jump all the way back to the beginning, back to the old Republic era with Ahsoka or whatever, and tell that story if they wanted to. It's interesting.
Time Jedi,
yeah. It could be, instead of Quantum Leap, it's Jedi Leap.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, if you're doing Knights of the Old Republic cartoon, that'd be cool.
I would love that.
We have to get these speeders going 1.21 gigawatts.
Great Scott.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, obviously, when he does that, the temple destroys itself, or resets itself. One of the two. But he gets caught up in it, which is interesting, too, because...
Well, I think a lot of people get caught up in it. Like, you have a lot of stormtroopers caught up in it, too, right?
I think so. They don't really show the stormtroopers, but we definitely see him, because he's so upset that he's like, what have they done? Everything's going to be lost. All the knowledge...
Well, I mean, at the same time, they're like... There was an entire group of stormtroopers with the relics and stuff. You had, like, this giant area where you more or less...
excavated that gets filled in, yeah.
Yeah, so I assume anything that's stuck there is stuck there.
Probably.
Again, more of that dark...
the dark side of Rebels.
Yeah, the darker
Uncensored.
Side darker side of Rebels that we don't see. All the deaths.
Rebels Uncensored, coming this fall. So... But the thing is he falls in. And they show that very briefly. It's very quick. It's like Ezra's kind of peering through his eye. He wakes up for a second, and he sees him.
Yeah. It's not that the walls cave in around him.
Right.
He falls into the hole that is in front of him.
Right, which is interesting. Because
so do you have an idea where that hole goes to in that scenario?
No, but it would... Not that I think he's Snoke, but if he's stuck in that temple, if the temple doesn't really destroy itself, it just literally buries itself, and he's stuck down there with all those artifacts, and he has all that arcane knowledge to begin with, who says he doesn't learn how to be a Sith? Or suddenly gain Sith powers through an artifact or something. It's very possible.
Well, I mean, it's more of a Jedi temple. Like, unless there's, like, on that third level, you have more Sith artifacts.
Right, and like, he comes across something. You know, it's hard to say, but it does lend about that much credence to that whole Snoke theory, which I still don't believe. But if they wanted to go that route, I think they could.
Yeah, I honestly think at this point, like, we can just let who Snoke is die. As a theory.
At this point, I wish they hadn't wasted him, but at this point, I'm fine with letting sleeping dogs lie at this point. And
I loved how they killed Snoke. I love that. It was just like, it doesn't matter.
But it is interesting, and the other thing that was interesting about this, I thought, was how the father kind of puts his hands back out, and that's what's creating that light, and that's what destroys everything or resets everything. Hard to say. Brian, do you think it's resetting? Do you think the temple will reset itself, or do you think?
I think it just reset itself, because even at the end, then when Kanan walks back out to see Hera and where they're standing at, the symbol is there again. Right. Where when him and Kanan walked up to that symbol to raise the temple up. Right. It's back to that
same spot,
and there's the symbols on the ground. If it had just been destructed itself, I would no symbol. I would have seen just wasteland. Yeah. But this actually looks like it reset itself.
Yeah, like the ground it doesn't look like it's been disturbed. Right. It's like they just disappeared, like it vanished almost. I don't know. What do you think, Aaron? You think it's gone? You think it crumbled, or you think it's still there?
I wouldn't be surprised if it's still there. Like, if it was some sort of, like, almost time reset sort of thing.
Or maybe even a mirage, force mirage, or something. Yeah. Maybe even visual. I don't know. Hard to say. So, let's move on to the last scene, and this is just kind of the last look. We get to see the wolf one more time. This is where Hera kind of admits to Ezra he's really gone, isn't he?
This time.
Yeah, like this... Kanan, this is it. He's I'm not going to see him, feel him, or any of that.
It's kind of accepting of it, and kind of a melancholy sort of scene.
Kind of, yeah, it really is. That's a good point, Aaron. I didn't quite think about it until just now, but yeah, it is kind of Hera's acceptance of Kanan's.
But is he really gone? I mean, this kind of portrays him as being gone, but it's one of those, like, if he's really a spear god or whatever, and he gets part of the, he could come back.
It depends on if there's actually limitations to it that we're not aware of or not.
It depends if he's fully gone on, if his essence if his will is complete, if he came to do what he complete, and then it's kind of like you've always heard about the stories of
Ghost having
they have to complete whatever's troubling them or whatever.
Like there's something bothering them when they die.
But it's like, which part was he one of the elites to have that?
I don't think he ever received that elite training, because we know from Clone Wars that you have to go through a special training in order to obtain, outside of Anakin Skywalker anyway, who just got it because he was the chosen one. You have to go through that training in order to know how to maintain your essence after you die.
Okay.
As a Force ghost. Anyway. So. But yeah. So it's kind of like a final goodbye, I guess, or maybe just goodbye for now, because we're pretty sure the wolves come back in the future episodes from what we've seen.
Well, yeah, but that could just be other wolves. You might not actually see the giant.
The white wolf even. Yeah. I don't know. But it is the white wolf that kind of stares at him. They both stare at each other. And even Ezra says goodbye to Kanan right there, thinking that's it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where it leaves us. So with that in mind, guys, let's just go into final thoughts and grades, I guess, for both episodes. So for the Wolf in the Door, Brian, what would you give?
I'd definitely give it an A.
Yeah.
Probably would give it an A+, but the whole time thing just.
Yeah, ups the ante.
Yeah, I mean, if that's the only negative I can find about that episode, really, other than the crappy music.
Can't get past that.
No, but I mean, if it did, I give it an A.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Aaron, what do you think for Wolf in the Door?
I'd probably give it a B.
A B? Okay.
I mean, the entire episode's kind of set up. The mural thing is really cool. Some of the aspects seem a little forced with the wolf stuff, but overall, it's a good setup episode.
Yeah. For me, I give it an A. I love the portal scene. The wolf riding scene was okay. That was cool. But the portal scene with how they take you from the beginning to where we are, kind of like a journey through to the mural with the symbolism, bringing back the Mortis. I'll just call them the Mortis gods for now. Bringing them back and showing how they're connected to all this, and opening of the portal, and even the conversation and the introduction of the minister Hayden is who I really like as a character, honestly. All of which reasons I give it a good solid A. If anything, I'm really tempted to say A+, but I'm like, again, that's because of the next episode. So, and speaking of the next episode, I'll just go right into it. My grade for A World Between Worlds is an A++. I don't think you can get any more Star Wars than that. Not only did we expand 2 pluses. I don't think you can expand the Star Wars mythology any better than it was done. Not only was it expanded pretty much in 2 ways, but it was expanded and it was done right. It wasn't like forced down our throats. It didn't feel hokey. It didn't feel corny. It felt right. It was done in the right way, and it really opens up everything. The only downside to the whole episode, again, is what will Disney do with it in the future. Other than that, I think it's an amazing episode. It shows that the Force is bigger than just Sith and Jedi. It shows that a person, a regular Jedi who does not have the special training, his will can exist, that you can have these Force spirit guides as a result, where they can manifest their will to the living still, even after they're gone, maybe right after they're gone only, but still, that's new as well. So again, and then the showing that it's one giant story, of course, to me, which I've always said it is, and just to reaffirm that, it's awesome. Like, I can't say anything else. Aaron?
I'd probably give the episode about a B- myself.
What?
Yeah,
Ooh.
yeah.
Okay.
I've never been a huge fan of time travel, and this one, it's done okay.
Uh-huh.
But I really think that you have the potential down the line to kind of maneuver this in weird ways. And generally, like, it's kind of a cool room sort of thing, and you do have some confirmation of, like, some of the mythology of, like, kind of force, like, a will of the Force kind of being able to, like, influence things without actually being a spirit ghost or force ghost or whatever. I'm kind of indifferent on the actual addition of time travel to the universe, personally.
Okay. All right. So you don't think it's needed?
I don't really know. I actually, in some way, think it could take away from it. Like, because I think there's something nice about having kind of the fantasy universe where there's that permanence, if nothing else.
Okay. Yeah.
I think whenever you introduce time travel, you kind of almost lose an element of that.
Okay. Yeah.
But that's a personal opinion.
Sure.
And I like many of the other aspects of the episode. And I think it's actually pretty decent overall.
Okay. Just B- though? Really?
Yeah.
Man. All right. Ouch.
I don't know. Like, I dig a lot of mythology and, like, religious, like, symbolism sort of episodes. And in some ways, I think that's why I like the last episode more, when you just kind of focus on the mural and the history and, like, that aspect. Whereas this is just, you have confirmation of some of, like, aspects of the mythology and essentially a time travel room.
Yeah, you do. Yeah. But it's one gigantic.
Yeah, it's an infinite time travel room.
Yeah, very much so. Okay. That's fair. Hey. Brian?
I'm close to you. I'm going to give it an A+.
Yeah.
And I don't give that to many episodes.
Right.
But for me, this was, like you said, it felt like the payoff we've been waiting for a long time, and the addition of the being able to manipulate time and stuff like that I thought was really cool. It also set us up with asking the question, what comes next? Where does Ahsoka come back in this, or does she set up her own? Does it set up her own series? We got to see the end of the Vader scene with Ahsoka. So there was little bit of wasn't a lot, but we got to see a little bit of a lightsaber duel in here.
Yeah.
So that's always, it's always a plus for me. The only thing that would have made this thing even better is a bit more vehicles. More introduction to vehicles.
There's just a segue in the time travel room.
Yeah. Instead of a wolf ride, maybe a new vehicle ride. Or some kind.
I mean, that'd probably be the only way to make it better for me. But I really enjoyed them.
Okay, very good, very good. All right, so where can you find 4 Midwest Guys? It's real simple. You can go to your one-stop shop, of course, is www.4midwestguys.com. Again, that is 4midwestguys.com. One more time, 4midwestguys.com. There you can find links to our iTunes, to our Podbean, to our Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Right now, YouTube is the most up-to-date. I'm a little behind on the Podbean and getting the audio only out, but I will catch up eventually. Also, if you are on Twitter, you can find us at 4MidwestGuys. Brian, where can they find you on Twitter?
At InkZone.
Very good. And you can find me at bwilly1977. Also, Brian, I think you got something for us on Instagram, I believe?
Yeah, over on Instagram, you can at _real_ink.
There you go. And Brian keeps some pictures up there, usually of us, some behind-the-scenes photos, videos of how we set up our podcast, what our studio looks like. If you're interested in that kind of stuff, that's probably your best venue for that. So, but again, the number 4midwestguys.com is your one-stop shop for everything. All of our podcasts are there chronologically. They're all there, categorized for you at the top with links at the top as well. So please do check it out. And also... do get back in touch with us. Reach out to us if you like what you saw. Even if you didn't like what you saw, we want to know why. Don't just tell us we suck. Tell us why we suck if we do suck. If you like us, great. Tell us why you liked us and what you like to see and what you'd like to see more of. I know we're definitely looking for some feedback. Obviously, with Rebels coming to an end, I'm looking at a Star Wars news format, some sort of a show, but I'd love to hear your ideas of what you would like us to see us have in a Star Wars show. Definitely reach out to us. There's plenty of ways to do it. We're also on email at 4midwestguys@gmail.com. That's another way you can reach out to us as well. So there's plenty of ways to reach out to us. So please do so. All right. Well, Brian, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, man.
Aaron, thanks for joining us always.
Yeah, no problem.
All right. This is B. Willie saying, may the Force be with you always.